Welcome to the Rocky and Meisty Show, everyone. Today discussing Matthew Stafford and his legacy, Meisty. His legacy. What did we say in the beginning of the playoffs? Matthew Stafford wants to cement his legacy in NFL lore as a great quarterback, quote unquote, whatever you want to say. Great quarterback means he's going to have to win a Super Bowl. He's one win away, 60 minutes, Meisty, from doing just that. Question is he a Hall of Famer if he wins on Sunday in LA? Before we get to that, please remember to subscribe to the podcast on Apple and YouTube and Spotify, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and head to Juice Tool to get your merch quickly. Don't miss out on it. So let's hit this, Meisty. Matthew Stafford has been a very interesting topic. We keep on saying we're going to go and have a podcast a little more in depth about him. Let's do it. Let's do it right now. So, roller coaster ride of a career for him, right? I mean, the man started in 2009, number one overall pick, and had some good years in Detroit, a lot of upside, a lot of downside, made a lot of boneheaded throws, made a lot of incredible plays, whether it be with his arm on the run, a lot of different – this guy's man has always had a lot of talent. Finally, he came to LA, and they're like, this is it. This is a match made in heaven. McVay, Stafford, they're going all the way. And so far, it's worked. But Meisty, is it really all Stafford? Does Stafford really deserve to be a Hall of Famer if he wins this game in LA on Sunday?
Yes, because at the end of the day, this is the one piece he's missing. This is the one piece he's missing. He doesn't need to prove that he is a talented quarterback. He proved that with the last 12 years or 11 years in Detroit. The fact that he even won a game, one game in Detroit is impressive. You like literally Detroit. I feel bad like putting them down, but they suck. That is the worst football team ever, right? I mean, like even the Bengals are in the Super Bowl. The Bengals and the Jaguars had the same odds preseason, so I don't want to hear it, right? So they are just awful. So I mean, so he proved that he was very talented, and he did some talented plays, and he made some big moment. Obviously there was never a real big moment in his career there because I mean he had one playoff, but other than that he never had a big moment because there was never like playoff implications on the line, but he had big moment games and where he made a play, where he did things, where he had stats. Even though he had Calvin Johnson, the stats were there. So this is just the cherry on top. Now I would say that this is what was missing, and we've mentioned it off air that they changed what allows into the Hall of Fame. So I say that Matthew Stafford, yes, because of what he has accomplished. This is just the missing piece that needs to fall in there.
So Matthew Stafford has all the accolades. He's threw for over 5,000 yards. He threw for over 4,800 on two other occasions, including this year. Will he make the Hall of Fame if he wins this game? There's a good chance. Should he? Absolutely not. No, Matthew Stafford is not a Hall of Fame quarterback by any stretch of the imagination. There were at least 4 or 5 years in his career where he wasn't even a top 10 quarterback. I mean, how could you put a man like that? Is it 13? This is his 13th year, right? 13 years in his career. He spent about half of that on the cusp of the top 10, on the cusp. And maybe how many years in his career? Maybe 3 years in the top 10. This year, if you couple the playoffs together, probably his best year in his career. But regular season-wise, this year wasn't that much better than the two or three best years he had in Detroit. It really wasn't. He had a much better surrounding, so he got a lot further. But he never won a playoff game in Detroit. Now all of a sudden he comes to LA and he wins 3 playoff games. Do you think that's a coincidence? Has he played well in this playoff run? Yes, he has. He's made a couple mistakes, sling the ball right to his safety against the Niners, but I'm not going to blame him. I do give him credit for that victory. He played well. He's been playing well all playoffs, but I don't think one playoff run cements you into the Hall of Fame. I mean, Joe Flacco's not a Hall of Famer, and nobody's even arguing that. And he had one of the best playoff runs of all time. So even having one good playoff run like he's having, even a great playoff run, is not necessarily cementing you. And other than this great playoff run, Stafford's just been 10 to 15, maybe 7 to 10 sometimes in his career in terms of ranking amongst quarterbacks. That doesn't get you in the Hall of Fame, man.
Joe Flacco is on the cusp of a Hall of Fame. He's not enough. But like you just said, he's a cusp. Why? Because first of all, we said we're not going to get into this, but longevity plays into it. But we're not going to get into that. But the fact is that Joe Flacco played a number of years very well, very good football. Got his team to the playoffs for a number of years, won a Super Bowl, played very well throughout his playoff career. So Joe Flacco isn't a Super Bowl quarterback, maybe because of how it's, and I guess you can call it the end now at this point for him, but how his career has come to an end. Yes, he's not going to make it, but if he would have, maybe started playing better, still playing that, think and dump football that we hated so much, but that was working for him. Maybe he would be in the same shoes as Matthew Stafford, and he has the Super Bowl already. So maybe, but Matthew Stafford, this is coming to the end. So it is helping him that at the end of the Matthew Stafford story, there's a Super Bowl. It's not at the beginning, like Flacco. It's at the end.
Yeah, but I don't think a Super Bowl defines whether or not you deserve to make the Hall of Fame. Trent Dilfer doesn't deserve to make the Hall of Fame. Like, how you win the Super Bowl is a lot more significant than whether or not you won the Super Bowl. And yes, Stafford has led the Rams here, granted. But like I said, one good playoff run. There's several different factors, okay? How many Super Bowls he won is a factor in the Hall of Fame race, 100%. So that's why I think, will he, if he has a great playoff run, which he has, and he ends up with a great Super Bowl, and they win the Super Bowl, and, he only plays a few more years, and that's how we remember him, then, yeah, he'll probably will. But the man, according to PFF, he's never graded in top 5 in his entire career. He's only rated above 10 3 times. It's only the third time in his career he's rated above 10. That's not Hall of Fame. You have to look at a guy over the course of his career, not a few games, not even 1 year. The man's never had a spectacular year. He's never been one of the best quarterbacks in football. We could just remember off the top of our head, we never put him in that top 5 conversation. Now, he had Brady, he had Manning in the early part of his career, he had Rodgers, he had Wilson, other guys there, but that's a part of it. You got to be in that conversation to be in a Hall of Fame. When you think of Matthew Stafford, do you think of him in that conversation? Absolutely not. So he's probably 2 tiers below those guys. Even 1 tier below those guys, like the Phillip Rivers of the world, the Tony Romos of the world, those guys are different conversations. But Matthew Stafford's 2 tiers below those guys.
Let me ask you this. In a 12-man fantasy league, is Matthew Stafford rostered throughout most of his career?
Wow, our definition of Hall of Famers really gotten swayed now in 2022.
No.
I gotta say.
No. I'm asking, there's nothing to do with him Hall of Fame. We're talking about rankings of where he ranks in players. So I'm asking from a fantasy base. I think that, when you were looking on the free agency and you click quarterbacks, he was the top guy right there, Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, well, Jalen Hurts was also probably top 5 fantasy quarterback this year, no? You're not a big fan of him, are you? I'm just saying he's a top 12 quarterback in football. There's no question about it. That's all he is. He's a top 12 quarterback. That's pretty much around the range he's been in his entire career, somewhere from 8 to 15. So in summation, I'm saying no, he does not deserve to be a Hall of Famer, even if he wins this game. And you're saying yes. Is that correct?
I don't know how much I agree with myself, but it's a strong stance, but I'm going to stick with it.
Smart to retract your opinion. But okay, well, you're standing with it. You're staying with it. Okay, I say no. I say will he? There's a good chance he will if he wins the Super Bowl. But I don't think he deserves to. So that's where you have to split it up.
Hold on. Rocky, before we go, Rocky, we just take a moment to understand why he's not going to be a Hall of Famer. Because this man's going to show up. This man right here. This man. Can you see him? You see him, Rocky? He's gonna stop. You gotta do the Yeah,
the perfect time for that.
Yeah. So we'll have to insert that into the audio of the podcast. But this is the reason why Matthew Stafford is not going to be a Hall of Famer. Joe Shiesty.
Fair enough. That summarized the entire podcast in a nutshell. So if you came only for the last minute, you pretty much got the whole thing. No, I'm just kidding. Go back and watch verse 10. So Cinnabon. Ooh, that's delicious, man. You're making me hungry.
Right?
Anyway, guys, that concludes the conversation. And obviously it's another conversation for another time. What defines being a Hall of Famer? There's a difference between who you think should be in the Hall of Fame and who you think will be in the Hall of Fame. So that's what we've differentiated between today. In summation, I don't think he deserves to be. Meisty does. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Matthew Stafford has a chance to cement his legacy in NFL lore, win a Super Bowl, do a lot for his legacy, and advance his career as well. Thank you for joining us. Remember to subscribe on the podcast and on YouTube, and have a great day, everyone.